What's up, what's good? You are now tuned in to the Keys and Seeds podcast, where we discuss music, mental health, and spirituality from the perspective of Kyndl, the artist, as well as Kyndl, the person behind the art. And of course, if you support the pod, then you too are also kin. Be sure to join the conversation and follow the pod at Keys X Seeds Pod. And as always, knowledge and kindness is key. This is episode 3. And without further ado, let's jump into the episode. All right, so full transparency moment. Like, I know some things I can and probably should keep to myself, but I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to just be completely honest with y'all on this pod about everything, as long as I feel like it's appropriate, you know? So, full transparency, this is my second time recording this episode. I recorded this episode and the audio ended up being fucked up, but I didn't realize until I had already recorded episode 4. So, yeah, if there's any type of like continuity, you know, errors or anything of that nature, yeah. Also, we still just trying to get everything together. The audio, the visuals, everything. But yeah, you guys are here for content. You guys are not here for everything to be perfect. But I felt like I just needed to get that off of my chest. So yeah, hopefully by episode 10, you feel me? Everything will be tight. Everything will be together. But yeah, a podcast is typically for people to consume audibly. So if you want to consume the pod visually, you know, just give me some more time. But we are here. We are back recording episode 3 for the second time. You guys wouldn't have known it was for the second time had I not said it, but yeah. Everything happens for a reason though. Maybe, you know, I didn't say something the first time I recorded it and, you know, God wanted me to say something now, or I don't know. But I do have notes for this episode, and I'm going to get better at organizing notes instead of just going into each episode, just like talking off the top of my head. So I do have notes, and I do want to get better about how long the episodes are in general. If you're consuming this episode, obviously before episode 4, I would hope you are. With this being episode 3, because this is my second time recording this episode, I know for a fact that episode 4 is a lengthy one. But because this is my second time recording this episode, I'm going to try and make this one a decent length. Not too long. Like I said, I do have my notes. And what else do I want to say and get out the way? Also, too, disclaimer, as you guys have probably already gathered from the first 2 episodes, I curse a lot. I think that's a disclaimer that I didn't say, but of course you guys can gather that from the first 2 episodes alone without me saying that. I curse a lot, so I try to be mindful of my tongue and what I say, but I don't know. Just it's a part of my language. It's the way that I comfortably speak. So I apologize if all my curse words offend anybody, especially if I use a curse word in God's name in the same sentence, because I noticed that I do that a lot too. And God know my heart. God working on me. I'm working on me. But yeah, I just thought I would put that disclaimer out there as well. And yeah, so 4 minutes going on 5 minutes. Now that that is out the way, Happy New Year, everyone. At the time of this recording, it is January, but by the time you guys listen to this episode, if you are tuning in, you know, as I'm dropping this, like, I know there's going to be people that tune in, like, after the fact, you know, like, I know that people are going to tune into the pod at different times, but if you're tuning into this episode at the time that I am hoping to release this episode, it's March. because that is my goal. My goal is to launch this pod in March. So at the time of this recording, it is January and it is technically the calendar new year. But by the time you guys are listening to this episode, you probably looking at me like, girl, what the fuck? Like, the new year already passed. Like, we already 3-4 months in this bitch. You feel me? But I don't consider the calendar new year as the actual new year. Like, I follow the calendar new year when it comes to like me referring to like the year as a whole. Like, okay, boom, 2023. Like, duh, it doesn't start, any month past January. 2023 starts in January. But in my mind, the new year does not actually start until spring. The new year does not start in the middle of fucking winter. So the calendar might say that it's new year, but the new year for me is not until spring, which is when I hope to launch this pod. So hopefully by the time you guys are listening to this episode, it'll be around end of March, early April. But yeah, so Happy New Year. I'm saying Happy New Year out loud because it's technically January as I'm recording this. But also Happy New Year because, like I said, by the time you guys are consuming this, it should be springtime, which is the actual new year. And yeah, so whether you follow the calendar new year or you go based off of the seasons, which we should be flowing with anyways, not a goddamn calendar. Either way, Happy New Year. If you started your new year in January and you feel like right now the goals or, the resolutions that you set for yourself, you kind of fell off of, now is the time to get back on it because it still is technically the new year. It's still Q1 for the year and every day is a new day to start again. You feel me? So Happy New Year. And with that said, now that the introduction to the podcast and the introduction to myself is out the way, although this is episode 3, I feel like this episode is also like the true beginning of this podcast in a way, because it's like, okay, yeah, I introduced the pod, I introduced myself. Those was technically, that was technically episode 1, episode 2, but like now that that's out the way and like we're actually about to like get into some shit, even though this is episode 3, like in my mind, it's like, okay, boom, this is episode 1, So because, we're all about, new beginnings and shit. That's the topic. This episode in particular is going to be about my past year, so 2022, and where I feel I currently am with 2023. And I'm going to share with you guys a few of my goals for 2023. And yeah, so as I'm about to overview my 2022, I'm going to share with you guys, somewhat of a timeline of my life. I'm going to just give y'all like a catch up, like, okay, this is the past energy that I've been in and like this is where I currently am, So I'm going to share with y'all what I feel like I learned last year, what I left last year, what I'm bringing into 2023, and my goal and my vision for 2023. So, yeah. ...2022 was very rocky for me, but it wasn't all bad. Like, I feel like 2023 is kind of like the year of like me truly having a fresh start, if that makes sense. Like, every year is a fresh start. Every day is a fresh start, really. But I feel like ever since like the pandemic in 2020, like I feel like 2020 was like the start of like, I don't know. How can I explain this? I feel like 2020, 2021, and 2022 although they were 3 different years, like I feel like in my mind, I'm like looking at them as like one like chapter within itself. And I feel like 2023 is like the year that I'm coming up out of the energy that I feel like has been lingering since 2020, if that makes sense. So I feel like last year was really just a year of me like still trying to like pick up the pieces from 2020, because I feel like that's what 2021 was, but I also feel like that's what 2022 was for me. And I feel like now 2023 is like, okay, like everything is coming back around full circle. Like everything is starting to make sense. And with that said, 2022, already I went into the year with energy from 2021. Like 2021 was the year that I left my hometown and I moved to Georgia. And that was at the end of that was at the end of 2021. That was September of 2021, excuse me. I feel like the original episode, the original take of this was so good, and now that I'm like recording this the second time, like I don't know, like the energy is different. Like I feel like I'm stumbling over my words and shit, even though I have my notes right here in front of me. So y'all bear with me. And I prayed before I started this, but we already 10 minutes in. I'm not restarting this. And y'all here for the growth. Y'all here for the journey. So yeah, so at the end of 2021, September of 2021 to be exact, I moved from my hometown of Indianapolis to Atlanta, Georgia. And so last September was a year for me. I made a year of living out here in Georgia last year in 2022. So going into 2022, it already was like a rocky start because I felt like I was still trying to find like true stability as far as like finding my footing out here. Like first moving out here, it was super difficult for me to like find and keep a job. Like I went through so many jobs at the end of 2021, first moving out here, and then going into 2022. Like I feel like I just went through so many jobs because it was hard for me to actually find a job doing what I wanted to do. So what I was doing, first of all, a job is not what the fuck I want to do, period. Like, you know, like be fucking for real. But like, I'm like, okay, if I have to work a job, like it has to be something that I enjoy doing. And what I was doing back home in Nap was caregiving. And of course, you know, caregiving is not, you know, my ultimate goal. That's not like what I truly want to do. But I feel like I have the heart to work in that field and to do that type of work, but also to like, it's not demanding. Like I feel like it fits me, you know, like I don't want to work a job that I feel like is too physically demanding, on top of it being too demanding as far as it taking up a huge chunk of my time. Like when you work a 9 to 5, like it takes up a lot of your time. So I'm the type of person, I'm like, okay, if I'm going to work a job, it has to be a job that like I can see myself like being at for real. And without me like waking up every day, like dreading to go there. Like, of course, I'm going to dread waking up every day, clocking in, you know, for somebody else instead of myself. But I'm like, if I have to do that, then it has to be something that I enjoy doing, or something that like I know that I'm not going to necessarily dread doing every day, you know? And I'm the type of person, once I find a job, I like to stay there. I'm not the type of person that likes to bounce around from job to job to job to job to job. I've never been the type of person. So first coming out here, I'm like, okay, boom, it only makes sense for me to find a caregiving job. And full transparency, I had a caregiving job lined up before even coming out here. So the company that I was working for back home in Nap, they have that same company out here in Atlanta. But they're different, like, franchise owners. Like, even though it's the same company, like I still had to, like, reapply, if that makes sense. So, like, it technically wasn't, like, the same people. Like, they were, like, independently owned. So, like, I had to reapply to the job, but I essentially had the job just off the strength of the fact that I already was working for the company, just in a different state, you know? So I came out here already with a job set up, essentially had the job, but still actually had to go through the process of, like, applying for the job and passing a drug test. And my ass didn't pass the drug test. And I know y'all can call me a dumbass, like, girl, what the fuck? Like, I know, like, it was so clutch, like, to have something like that already set up for me, and then, like, I don't get the job because of something as simple as not passing a drug test. Like, I was like, damn, I gotta get my priorities together. But, like, to be fair, it was a mouth swab. And you know, like, how long, like, you know, THC and stuff, like, is still, like, in your system. Like, when you're, like, tested via, like, urine, like, it's different than, like, them actually doing a mouth swab. And I had just smoked. So, you feel me? That was my first time ever taking a mouth swab type of drug test. And I ain't gonna say nothing that will be incriminating, but, like, there was ways that I was, you know, getting around drug tests that were urine tests. So I'm going into it thinking that it's about to be that. I'm about to be on some, like, oh, okay, cool, like, still got the job. No. It was a goddamn mouth swab. And I had just smoked. And I was like, fuck. Like, as soon as they pulled that test out, I was like, I'm fucked. But I tried to not beat myself up too much about it. I'm like, okay, you know, lesson learned. You feel me? Like, okay, let me really get my priorities straight now. And, you know, it's like, God knew that was going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just probably wasn't meant for me to work that job. So I just was like, all right, you feel me? Let me take my L to the chin, keep it moving. So after that, I was still looking for caregiving jobs, but it was hard finding caregiving jobs. Like, a lot of the caregiving jobs that I was finding out here, they either, one, wasn't hiring, or they was hiring, but they required me to be vaxxed. And I don't want to get too controversial, at least not right now, but I'm not getting that shit. I'm not getting vaxxed. I'm sorry. So I'm like, okay, God, I don't want to sit here and, you know, be stubborn and say, like, oh, well, I must not want a job because I'm not about to get this shot. But, like, God, you know why I'm not getting this shot. You feel me? Like, I'm not going to compromise. That's an insider. That is a word that I fucked up. That's a word that I often fuck up, and people be on my head about it. They be like, did you just say compromise? Yes, I did. I know it's compromise, but, like, I don't know. That doesn't click in my brain. Like, it doesn't roll off the tongue. So still to this day, I be fucking up that word. But yeah, I'm like, okay, that's not something that I'm willing to compromise on. Like, I'm not about to compromise my beliefs just for the sake of a job, especially not a job that's not even paying like that for real. Like, be fucking for real, you know? So I was like, all right, cool. The caregiving jobs that I was going for, they either wasn't hiring, they required you to be vaxxed, and I knew that I wasn't getting that shit, or, like, I essentially would have the job, but the thing is that they didn't have clients in my area. Like, they didn't have clients, like, close to me in order to, like, drive to every day, in order to, like, assist them in their home, you know? So I was like, damn. And then, like, I was regretting even more that I fucked up the other job opportunity, because now I'm like, all right, how the fuck I'm gonna find me a goddamn job? I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I'm an earth sign, and this was my first time, like, having bills and shit. So I'm like, all right, I came out here with money saved up, but sorry, I had to make sure the audio was still recording. I came out here with, money still saved up. So I'm like, okay, like, I'm not necessarily in a rush too much right now, but like, I don't want to get comfortable. Like, I don't want, time to pass and like, you feel me? So like, I still was trying to be proactive about finding a job. So I'm like, all right, the caregiving shit is probably not about to work, or at least not right now. So I'm sitting here like, okay, what am I about to do? And I'm like, you feel me? At this point, you feel me? Like, I don't want to be, picky about a job, because a job is a job, but it's just certain shit that I'm just not doing. Like, I'm not going back to fast food. You know what I'm saying? Like, it literally had to make sense. So I literally was just like, God, I don't know what to do. But at the same time, like, although I was praying and asking God for help, I ain't gonna lie, I was moving ahead of God, and I was very impatient, and I was just doing any fucking thing. So my ass went and applied to goddamn Amazon, because Amazon is always hiring. And I'm like, shit, I need a job. And motherfuckers always talking about how much money they be making at Amazon and shit. They don't tell you how much they be fucking slaving working at Amazon, making the money that they be working. I mean, making the money that they be making working at Amazon. But whatever. So I eventually worked at Amazon. Literally only lasted a month. I was like, yeah, this shit's dead as fuck. Like, I can't. Like, it was just too much physical labor. And I know that I'm not a warehouse worker type of person. Like, jobs that I feel literally just like suck the life out of me. Like, if I feel like it's super fucking draining and it's a job that I'm gonna dread going to every day, or it's a job or it's a job that I know is leaving me physically sore every day, it's not happening. So lasted at Amazon for like a month. I was like, God, something gotta give. Like, I worked there for the time being, just to get the money that I needed at that moment. But I was like, yeah, nah, this ain't about to last. So after I left Amazon, I ended up going back to looking for caregiving jobs. And I found a caregiving job, but the job that I went for was a job situation where they had clients that they could put me with, but the clients didn't live anywhere near me. So at that point, I'm like, shit, fuck it. You feel me? Like, I know that I'm not about to go back to another warehouse job. I'm just like, at this point, I don't know what to do. So like, really like on some desperate shit. Started working at that job, was driving to a client that was damn near an hour away. And a lot of the clients that I work with in caregiving are pretty high functioning. Like, I've never had to like do everything for them. And the client that they put me with, not only did I have to drive an hour away, but I had to literally do everything for this client. And that's not their fault. That's my job to do, the things that I was doing. You feel me? Like, my job is to be there to help them. So, you feel me? Like, I know that I have a servant's heart, but like, I'm like having to drive an hour there every day and then an hour back home. And then the hours were weird as fuck, like just placed in the middle of my fucking day. It was just like a whole like, yeah, it's a no, And then too, like, first time in this client's home, as soon as I walk in, it's a goddamn Trump hat in a display case. So I should have known the first day I walked in. I should have known when they told me that the client was an hour away and I was going to have to do a lot for them, that it was a no. But me, still being desperate, still moving ahead of God, still trying to figure shit out on my own, I was like, fuck it, I'm going to show up. Worked there for about a month. After I left there, went to another warehouse. Lasted about a month and a half, almost 2 months. Left there, went to another warehouse. Kid y'all not, only worked there a day. And it wasn't because I was like, yeah, nah, after a day. Like, I literally was like, all right, you feel me? Like, this is right down the street from my house. I don't know what else to do. So, I'm going to try and make this work. No cap. Day 2, they sent me home in the middle of my shift and was like, we'll let you know if we need you to come back because we don't know if we need you. So I'm like, so what the fuck did y'all hire me for if y'all didn't need people? So, and like, I was still in training. So I wasn't even like doing shit for real. So like, I know that they didn't fire me because I wasn't like doing my job or anything like that. But like, that shit was weird as hell. Like, I literally only worked there for like a day and a half. No cap. So then after I quit that job, they fired me or whatever, I literally was like, this was around April. It was 4/20. They fired me 4/20. Like, literally the day that I had went and then they sent me home in the middle of my shift was 4/20. I vividly remember because my roommate was trying to be a bad influence and was like, don't go to work, bro. It's 4/20. Like, just stay here. Just roll up. And I'm like, no, I need to go to work. We can smoke when I get back. And no cap, I went to work, came home a few hours later. This nigga looking at me like, the fuck? Ain't you supposed to be at work? I'm telling him the whole situation. And he was like, see, I told you not to go to work. I'm like, listen. So that's how I remember that shit was 4/20. But after that, I literally was like, all right, God. I've been in this situation before. Like, I feel like whenever I try to rush ahead of God or I try to figure things out on my own, like, I feel like God just be standing to the side like, all right, I'm going to let you cook. I'm going to see what you do. It's not going to work out though, but I'll let you figure that out on your own. Like, I feel like that's the relationship God and I have. So like, at that point, I'm like, all right, God, I hear you. I came out here, in the mindset of feeling like, I need me a job right now so I can continue to be stable and not run through all this money that I saved up. Because when I first came out here, I'm not gonna lie, like, I was trying to, explore and experience the city. So I was going out when I first moved out here. But like, I'm not even a club party, spend my money on food, going out to eat all the time type of person. Like, I really was trying to have a balance of like, okay, let me enjoy the city now that I'm out here, but let me still be smart with my money. But the thing about it is the fact that moving out here was my first time ever paying rent. So although I have roommates and I'm, thankful for my village, for those who don't know that I have roommates. So although I have roommates and I'm not completely on my own, like, I am still on my own for the first time because I've never paid, rent before moving out here. So although I wasn't even like recklessly blowing through my money like that, huge chunks of my money was going towards paying rent. So I kind of just came out here already just like in this fearful mindset of like, okay, although I have this money saved up, I need to hurry up and secure me a job and continue to stack up money because I don't want time to, I don't want things to catch up with me. Like, that was the mentality that I had coming out here. So went through all these goddamn jobs, still ended up in that situation. Literally, still ended up in that situation. Like, I remember literally being down to my fucking last around after that last warehouse job that I worked in April. I didn't end up working again until June. I want to say June. Yeah, June. And this is the job that I currently still work at the time of this recording. And I don't plan on leaving this job anytime soon. Because like I said, I don't like bouncing around from jobs. So I've been at this job. The next job that I worked after that, I worked in June and I've been there since then. So y'all do the math. But after that last little warehouse job that I worked at for goddamn 1.5 days, I was like, all right, God, what you want me to do? And I literally like prayed on it and I just stayed still. I'm like, God, I don't know what you want me to do. It's like, of course, I'm meeting God, you know. I'm doing my half. I'm like, all right, God, like I'm applying to jobs, I'm applying to caregiving jobs. Like, okay, I'm getting and I'm understanding that warehouse jobs are not for me. But like, what else do you want me to do? You know what I'm saying? Like, I was applying to radio jobs, wasn't really getting callbacks because of my resume, don't really have internships. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't really have much to put on my resume. I really don't have that much experience with my degree. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, even the thing that I actually like really want to do, if I do have to work a job, like I can't get a job in that. So I'm just like, I feel like caregiving is like my safety net right now. But I'm like, God, if you don't want me to do caregiving anymore, like let me know what it is. So I'm still like applying to jobs, because that's what I felt like God was, you know, leading me to do. But God was leading me to just be more intentional about the jobs that I was applying to. Meaning, I knew that I wasn't about to keep applying to warehouse jobs knowing that they drained the fucking energy out of me. So I'm like, all right, done with the warehouse shit. At least let me go back to caregiving. Like that's what I was doing when before I moved out here. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe now I can find me, you know, a company, you know, with some clients that's near me or something. I don't know. I don't remember what my thought process was at that time, but I remember after the last warehouse job that I worked in April, I went all of May without working, and that was a bad month. Like, although it was very still and, you know, I was trying to be, you know, comfortable with the fact that I wasn't working, like, oh yeah, I got all this free time. Like, I literally was watching like my money like just be spent because it had to be spent. You feel me? So like that balance of like money that I'm bringing in and then money that I'm like spending because I have to spend it, like there was no balance. And so by the end of May, I'm like literally down to my last at this point. I don't remember exactly how much I had saved, but I moved out here September of 2021. So y'all do the math. September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. That's 9 months. So at that point, like I'm literally down to my last. Like, all right, God, I don't know what's next, but I trust you. At this point, I'm like damn near shaking like a stripper because I'm like, damn, I really don't want to go back home. But like, that's what it's looking like. But I'm like, I'm not going to lose faith for real until like, you feel me? Like I'm not going to believe that I'm going to move back home until I see it. You feel me? Like, although that was a thought in my mind, I'm like, I know that I can still land me a job in time. And you feel me? Like, I literally only had enough money, I think, at that point to pay next month's rent. So I'm like, all right, from now until June, like something got to shake. And eventually something did shake. And like I said, the job after that I worked, I landed in June. And at the time of this recording, I'm still working there. Obviously, of course, it's not what I really want to be doing, but grateful to have a job nonetheless, and a job that I feel like I can show up to every day and not dread. And it's within the field of caregiving, but it's on the other side of things. So instead of me going to people's home and, you know, helping, you know, take care of them and like assisting them around their home and like, you know, with their chores and, you know, errands and things of that nature, instead of me actually going to the homes, I work for a day program. So I remember like some of the clients that I was working with back in that, I would have to take some of them to like a day program, which is kind of like a summer camp, or like, I guess like a school, but more so like it's a day program, but for people with disabilities. So I work at a day program. So it's like every now and then, if they need somebody to like cover a shift in one of the homes, like I'll go, but like I don't work in the homes. Like there's people that work at the day program that actually work in the homes as well, but I don't work in the homes anymore. I work at a day program, which is kind of cool and kind of interesting because like I said, I remember when I was back in that doing caregiving, I was working in the homes and it would be clients that I would have to take to a day program. So I would always like take them to like this day program, but like never really like sat in or like went to the programs myself to see like what it was about kind of thing. So like now being like on the other side of things and like working in the day program is kind of interesting how, you know, that kind of came back around full circle as well. But yeah, I like it. I'm not gonna lie though, I do prefer working in the homes more. I feel like it's more relaxed, it's less demanding. I feel like with the day programs, it's like I gotta actually come up with curriculum and you feel me? It's like essentially teaching, but like for people with disabilities. So it's like I still have to like come up with something, you know, engaging for them. And yeah, I do like being able to like go out into the community when they go on their field trips and stuff like that. But yeah, that's what I do now for work. Also too, I ended up landing me a part-time job in caregiving, but working in a home. And I applied to that job around the same time I applied to my full-time job, but they just never called me back. But then ironically, they called me back months later, like right before my birthday. So that September, they ended up calling me back and was like, hey, if you're still interested, we got this position. And around that time, I was looking for a part-time job. So I was like, look at God. You feel me? Like, and I don't know. I just feel like 2022 was just this big, like, eye-opening, like, lesson of me just learning how to just be patient and truly trust God and to not move ahead of God and to really like be honest with myself about what it is that I want and what it is I know I deserve. Because it's like, okay, yeah, I need a job, but I know that I still deserve a job that's, you know, a job that like I know now that I should actually have standards for the jobs that I go after and the jobs that I accept. I don't have to just be moving from a place of desperation. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, yeah, it might seem like I'm being too picky or whatever the fuck to anybody else. But like at the end of the day, although I need a job, I'm not working that job. You feel me? And I really try to like humble myself. Like, okay, I really don't want to work a warehouse job, but like, I know I need a job. So like, that's why I was going after those type of jobs. But I feel like God really just like allowed me to just sit down during that month that I was like taking off from work to really just like recalibrate and like realize like, okay, yes, I need a job. Yes, I'm going to have to work the rest of my life. But at the end of the day, God know I got bills to pay. Like God knows and sees my situation. So it's like, okay, what do I need to be fearful for? You feel me? Like, I feel like 2022 was just a big test of me just learning how to trust God more. Not only with, you know, my finances and, you know, with the whole job situation, but just in general. Like, even after I landed that job in June, not even 2 months later, a situation came up where, again, I thought that I was going to have to move back home. And I'm not going to get too, you know, deep into why or, you know, what happened. But not even a month or two after I landed that job, a situation came up where I thought that I was going to have to move back home. And at that time, like, it literally looked like a situation that I was not going to find my way around. as far as still being able to stay out here. Like, I'm looking at the situation like, ain't no way. Ain't no way. Like, it was a situation where a bunch of money was owed and it had to be paid. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going back home. Because the fuck, like, who has that? You know what I'm saying? Like, there was no way around the situation at that time. Long story short, though, God being God, God being the faithful God that God is, the situation ended up being worked out. And I thank God for that, because it was nothing but God. But I was just like, dang, like, I literally feel like I just found my footing with this job, and now I gotta move back home. But when I was like in the thick of that situation, not being able to like see the other side of things, like not knowing how things were gonna work out or if it was gonna work out, I feel like at that point, I'm like, fuck it. Whatever happens, happens. Like, although I was anxious, yes. At that point, because I had already went through that season of just sitting with God and like, you know, praying to God, like I feel like 2022 was just a whole year of me just learning how to hear God more and trust God more. And I really feel like that was like the ultimate test. Like, it was another test of like, okay, I got you this job. You was patient. You know what I'm saying? Like, you recognized that you was moving ahead of me, that you was, you know, moving from a mindset of feeling like you was going to be without. Like, you feel me? Like, I felt like I passed that test. So God was like, all right, cool. Let's see if you pass this test. And looking at that situation, I'm like, shit. I mean, all I can control is what I can control. So at that point, my mindset was like, okay, obviously I don't want to move back home, but shit, whatever happens, happens. And I've always had that mindset, like everything happens for a reason. It might not be the reason. How can I say this? It might not be, like the truth of a situation might not be truth that I would want to accept at that time. Like, things might not always work out the way I would want them to work out. But literally every single time, whenever I look back on things in hindsight, I'm always like, dang, thank you, God, for allowing that situation to not go the way I thought I wanted it to go. Or thank you, God, for you feel me? Like, I might not always see in that moment or agree with God in that moment. Like, I might be mad, like, dang, all right, cool. But like, I always look back on the situations and be like, gratitude. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, clearly this situation came up for a reason. And I feel like I intuitively felt that the situation came up just to truly test if I was going to trust God. And I'm like, well, fuck it. I mean, like, I can only control in the situation what I can control. So I'm like, okay, if I have to move back home, cool. If I still get to stay out here, cool. Am I going to be upset if I have to move back home? Yeah. But at the same time, I was looking at the positives. I'm like, shit, I've been goddamn stressed out moving out here. Like, been trying to find my footing for I don't know how many months now. You feel me? So I'm like, fuck it. No, I don't really want to move back home. I'm going to feel like I failed in a way, even though, you feel me, that's subjective. You feel me? Like, I didn't fail. Like, I still came out here and tried. A lot of people don't even have the courage to move from their hometown to begin with. So I'm like, of course I'm going to be upset, and I'm going to feel like, you feel me, I didn't plan properly. And you feel me? Like, of course there was going to be some type of me beating myself up in that situation. But I'm like, shit, if I move back home, you know how much money I can fucking save? I can fucking recalibrate. I can come up with a better plan. Like, I literally was like looking at the positives. Like, shit, like, you feel me? I've already controlled in this situation what the fuck I feel like I can control. So it's like, at this point, whatever happens, happens. And I literally feel like because I had that mindset of, well, fuck, you feel me? Like, whatever happens, happens. But, you know, regardless of however the situation unfolds, like, I know that either way I'm going to be okay with it because I know God is still with me. I feel like because I had that mindset, God was like, cool. And long story short, the situation ended up getting worked out. And that September, I made a year of me living out here. So since then, I've still been out here. And yeah, like quite literally been living out here. Like I haven't been going back and forth, living here, living in that, but saying I'm out here in Atlanta. Like, no, I've been living out here, and there's nothing but the grace of God. But as I'm looking at the timer, we coming up on an hour, and I really want to wrap this up. I feel like I spent a lot of time talking about jobs, but like I said, 2022 overall was really just a test of my faith, and it was needed. It was needed for me to grow closer to God, because with new levels comes new devils. I knew that I knew it wasn't going to be, you feel me, smooth sailing. Like I knew it wasn't going to be I moved out here to start a new life. Like everything about to be cool, everything about to be sweet. Like, no, like I knew it was going to be some type of test. I just didn't know that the tests that I was facing were going to be those tests, you know? So 2022 overall really was just a huge step. I mean, a huge test of my faith. I feel like 2022 definitely increased my faith. 2022 definitely taught me how to be more calculated with my moves, how to be more intentional with my moves instead of just throwing darts at the board and making moves from a scarcity mindset or a mindset of being in desperation. It's like, I don't have to move that way when I know that I follow God. God knows my situation. God sees what I'm in. It's like when I'm trying to be in control of everything myself, it's like I know that I'm essentially telling God that I don't trust God to be in control of my life. And like I said, I feel like there's been plenty of times where I tried to like rush ahead of God, or like I feel like I knew the best way. And God was like, all right, cool. I'm going to let you cook. Let's see how this turned out. You know what I'm saying? So 2022 definitely taught me, to trust God more, to release control, to be more intentional with my moves. With me like growing closer to God, 2022 also taught me how to be more intentional with the relationships that I have, because 2022 also was a year where I deepened a lot of relationships with people that I have in my life that I know are here to stay. But 2022 also was a year where people that I had around me, needless to say, they're no longer around me. So 2022 was also a big year for relationships. I feel like not only did I grow in my relationship with God, but I grew in my relationship with self. And within that, I was able to recognize the relationships that I had in my life that I needed to keep around and continue to invest in. And I realized the relationships that I had around me that just were not fitting and were just not aligned with me. And as people were like trying to, slither their way into my life, I was learning how to better recognize like, nah, you feel me? Like you might be a good person, but I don't think you aligned for me in my path. And that was something that I definitely learned in 2022. 2022 definitely taught me boundaries with myself, not going against self, but also just, boundaries. Of course, boundaries are for myself, but having boundaries with other people, that's something that I've always struggled with. I've always been a big people pleaser. And I don't know, it's like when I feel like someone comes along and, they're genuine or, because I know the heart that I have, it's like, I don't know, I feel like I kind of move in like this free for all type of energy with people a lot of times. And I'm realizing like that shit is not healthy. That shit is not okay. And I feel like every ending that I have with someone, it always is a dramatic ass crash and burn ass ending. And I'm like, I feel like every ending to a relationship does not have to end in a situation of it being all right, you completely X'd out of my life. You feel me? Like, I'm learning how to just better position people in my life. Like, okay, boom, boundaries. I might fuck with you in this way, but I ain't gonna fuck with you more than that. You feel me? Because I'm recognizing that I can't fuck with you any more than what the fuck I should be fucking with you as, you know? If that makes sense. Yeah, 2022, I also picked up a lot of different skills. I'm certified in bartending now. I'm still just figuring out life, y'all. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, but 2023, because it's now coming up on an hour. 2023, I am truly learning how to be aligned with self. And 2023, when you add up the numbers in 2023, it equals to 7, and 7 is a divine number. And long story short, I just feel like this year is the year of truly just being in alignment. Like, I don't know, this year just feels different. Like, it just feels like divine timing. Like what I said at the beginning of this episode, I feel like 2020 through last year was just like this big ball of, I don't know. Like, last year I was still like dealing with energy from 2020, still learning lessons from 2020, still repeating cycles from 2020. And I'm not gonna lie to y'all, at the time of this recording, I kind of went into this year already too, repeating certain cycles, but like I immediately like noticed like, yeah, nah, like 2022 really was like it was like the final exam. For real. It was like, you know, like when you in school, like you have like the midterm exam and you know what I'm saying? Like, I really feel like 2022 was like that. Okay, it's the end of the school year. Like, it's time to prep for, you feel me? Like the next season. I literally feel like 2022 was like that energy. And coming into 2023, I'm like, I don't completely know myself. I don't know everything. I'm still learning myself. I'm still learning, you know, what I like, what I don't like, what I want, what I don't want. But what I do know is that I want God and I want myself. And anything that is not in alignment with what God wants for me, and anything that I feel like is draining me or being forced, it gotta go. If it's not effortlessly flowing, I don't want it. If I don't see God within it, I don't want it. And I feel like my relationship with self and God has improved so much to the point where I know I'm not perfect. I know I still fall short. I know sometimes, you know, I might not see everything. I might not catch everything. But like, I go to God about everything now. And I already do a lot of self-reflection. Like, I really pride myself on being as self-aware as I am. Like I said, I know I don't know everything, but that's why I seek God. Because God does know everything, and God knows what's best for me, and God has proven that to me time and time and time and time again. So it's like, at this point, God, I see you. God, I hear you. God, I trust you. And like I said, I'm just at a point now where alignment is so important to me. Alignment and intentionality is so important to me. And before I end this episode, I just thought to grab this journal, because I have the notes that I took down for this episode specifically, but I'm going to share with y'all my 2023 journal. It's very personal, but I feel like I can share it with y'all. This journal that I'm reading out of are my 2023 goals and some focus words and scriptures that I wrote down. And I'm going to share this really quickly before I wrap up this episode. So, you guys can look these scriptures up on your own time if you wish. But the scriptures that I felt led to note for 2023 to continuously meditate on is Matthew 5:14, Deuteronomy 31:8, Psalms 37:23 through 24, Hebrews 12:11, and Philippians 1:6. Of course, like I said, 2023 equals 7. This is a 7 year. This is a divine year. This is a year of alignment. So I put 7 and I put alignment. That's something that I really want to focus on. If it's out of alignment, anything that I have to be outside of God to keep and maintain, it costs too much. It costs too much. If it's costing me my peace, if it's costing me my relationship with self, if it's costing me my relationship with God, right hand up to God, I don't want it. I don't want it. So alignment is super important to me this year. I also put the Magician as far as a tarot card because, like I said, I believe I'm an alchemist, and as the Magician, I am the co-creator of my life. I have to take responsibility for my own actions, and I can't blame anybody else around me for my life looking the way it's looking if it's looking in a way that I don't like. But yeah, also too, I noted the Magician to remind myself of my power. I also put throat chakra. That's something that's super big and important to me. I really want to focus more on my throat chakra. Ironic that I'm starting a podcast now, but I know in general I can be very passive, and I know I really want to work on being more assertive. So I put throat chakra. I put grace because I know I need to learn how to give myself more grace. I'm good for giving other people grace, but when it comes to myself, of course, I put boundaries, something that I know I need to work on. Discernment. I don't always trust my intuition, and it's always hard for me sometimes. Always and sometimes it's kind of contradictory, but my point is sometimes it's hard for me to truly discern who and what's for me and what's not. Because like I said, I know my heart and I know my intentions, but I be having to remind myself that not everybody has the same heart as me, and not everybody has good intentions. It don't matter how pretty a package might come wrapped up. That person will fuck up your whole life if you let them. That situation will fuck up your whole life if you let them. And like I said, I don't want anything that is not in alignment with who I am supposed to be and where I am meant to be. And the other word that I wrote was intentionality. I want to be intentional with everything that I do. I question every thought that I have. I question every action that I take. And I just question everything, period. That's always just been how I am, but intentionality. And I put what I'm leaving in 2022 is spending unnecessary money, specifically on food and weed. I don't spend a whole lot on money. I don't spend a whole lot on food or weed, but I do know that I can just throw away money. And I do believe that it's healthy and it's necessary to have a balance between, work and leisure. We are here to enjoy our life. I'm not going to hold on to every goddamn dollar that I have and save it and only give my money to, my responsibilities and shit. And I'm not going to lie, I used to be that type of person. Scarcity mindset. I'm not spending shit. But I feel over time I kind of got comfortable and got out of that, because it's like, okay, I don't want to be in a scarcity mindset, but like it's that balance between having a scarcity mindset and having an abundance mindset, you know? So it's like, I know I kind of just been doing unnecessary spending in general, and the money that I've been spending could be put towards more important things. It could be invested into other things that's actually going to be useful for real, you know? Like, I don't want to just keep throwing away my money. What I'm leaving in 2022 is being passive. Being on social media a lot / unnecessarily. I spend a lot of free time on social media. Not even free time, but I just spend a lot of time on social media, like just distracting myself sometimes. Cause like, I'm not gonna lie to y'all, like when I know I got a lot of stuff to do, I don't know. It's like, I just be overwhelmed sometimes. And it's like, social media is like that quick and cheap, like dopamine hit. And they're like, all right, like, let me jump on here and like distract myself temporarily. But then I always end up feeling like shit, because I'm like, damn, like I just sat here and spent all these hours scrolling, not doing shit, when I could have been doing something better. So I'm taking accountability for that. I know I need to spend less time on social media. And another thing I'm leaving in 2022 is going against my intuition / God's instructions. Like I said, alignment is the word for 2023 for me. And I'm like, I don't want to share my goals and like have evil eye, but baby, I'm protected by God. And yeah, maybe my goals might inspire somebody else. So I feel led to share with y'all the goals that I wrote down for 2023. And I'm about to read that real quick and wrap up, because once again, this was a long episode. All right. So I put number 1, keep God first / strengthen relationship. That was number 1, baby. Nothing is going to flow without God in the equation. So first and foremost, my number 1 goal for this year is to continue to keep God first and to strengthen my relationship with God. Because like I said, I don't know what everybody's beliefs are. I was once that person who thought they was agnostic. I'm like, I question everything. So I'm like, how do I even know that, you know, God is real? You feel me? Like, I've had my seasons and my moments of trying to figure things out on my own. And, you know, like, yeah, nah, God, yeah, okay, whatever. Like, everybody's speaking about God, but like, you know, I don't feel a personal relationship for myself. Like, I don't know. I went through every season of, okay, I'm following God, I'm not following God. And I just realized that whenever I was in this, you know, mindset of not following God and, you know, rejecting God, my life was shitter. And whenever I accepted God and I went to God, like, all right, God, I'm not perfect. I'm coming to you with this situation. You know my heart, you know my intentions. Like, I want what you want for me. I want what's best for me. I'm tired of the stress of trying to control every little goddamn thing. Like, God, you got it. I'm going to let you cook now. You know what I'm saying? Like, once I got into that space and that energy, like, I literally felt my life begin to flourish. And yeah, I'm rolling with Big G. Keep God first and strengthen relationship. That's number 1. That's important to me. Number 2 is be more disciplined with goals and routines. I know discipline is something that I struggle with as well, especially when it comes to like me like really working towards my goals. Like, I'll have a goal and like I'll accomplish it, but like I don't be sticking to like deadlines that I be setting for myself as much as I know I should. Like, I be putting hella shit off. And then also too, I put be more disciplined with routines. I've been noticing that when I don't stick to a night routine or a morning routine, it's like everything else is out of whack. But like, I hate feeling like I'm so like stuck in a, like, I don't know. How can I say it? It's like having a night routine and a morning routine. Having a morning routine and a night routine and not sticking to those routines, like, I've noticed a huge difference in my life. When I stick to those routines, I feel more energized. Like, I feel like everything else is flowing, and you know what I'm saying? But like, sometimes it's hard, like, really sticking to those routines, because it's like, oh, like, it's the same shit every day. Like, all right, let me do this routine. Like, all right, now let me do this. It's like, I don't like feeling like I'm in like a loop, or like, because like my life is so structured that like I don't have any type of freedom. But like, I'm learning how to change my mindset towards having routines, because sticking to those routines is what's actually going to give me the freedom that I'm looking for. When I'm not sticking to those routines, I notice that everything else just goes to shit. And I notice like a huge effect on my mental health when I'm not sticking to a morning routine and a night routine. So I told myself I want to be more disciplined with goals and routines. I put save at least a certain dollar amount a month. I'm not going to share what that dollar amount is, but I did write down a particular dollar amount that I told myself that I want to save each month. If I can be completely honest with y'all, your girl don't know how to cook. So I definitely put a goal of learning how to cook, and I put at least in a certain number of dishes. Of course, I put start podcast /launch. Of course, I already told you guys less social media unless I'm promoting. I dropped a number of visuals that I would like to release this year. A number of singles that I would like to release this year. I told myself I want to take myself out on at least one solo date a month. I just recently started to be more intentional about dating myself, and like actually like taking myself out on dates and like exploring the city more. But like, I know I don't consistently do it. So I'm like, I need to take myself out on at least one date a month. Another goal I put was do at least one show a month. As I'm starting this podcast, like, as much energy as I was giving to my music, is like, I'm kind of like reprioritizing what I'm giving my energy to. And I'm not going to lie to y'all, like, more of my energy is going to be going towards this podcast now versus the music. But I told myself that I still want to perform at least once a month. And I feel like that's doable. But at the same time, it's very difficult for me to find shows out here on weekends. Like, almost every open mic or like performance type of opportunity that's out here, it be during the week, and niggas work. So it's like, I know people be like, oh, you gotta make sacrifices, it's about how bad you want it. You right. If that determines how bad I want it, goddamn it, I guess I don't want it that bad, because the fuck, I'm not about to pull up to y'all goddamn open mic that start at 9, 10 o'clock, knowing that I gotta be at work at fucking 6. And then y'all don't even be starting shit half the time on time. Y'all say the event started at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. It's damn near midnight. I'm like, bruh, I was supposed to be in the bed. And on top of that, even if I didn't have to work, the way my body is set up now, like, this body has went through high school and this body has went through college. Baby, by the time 9, 10 o'clock roll around anyways, I'm fucking tired. Definitely big grandma around this bitch. You will not catch me out all night pulling all-nighters and shit like that anymore, unless I absolutely have to. Like, okay, boom, like, let me stay up a little bit longer till I get this shit done real quick. Other than that, no. Because I'm noticing too that that's taking a toll on my mental health. Like, getting adequate sleep, baby, I'm all for it now. I'm all for it. Whatever the fuck didn't get done today, cool. Do that shit tomorrow. Or whenever the fuck I get to it. But yeah, nah. And that was my little rant. But yeah, I'm like, I want to do at least one show a month, but I don't even know how that's going to happen, because it don't be a lot of opportunities out here on weekends. If you're listening to this podcast and you're in Atlanta and you know about some performance / open mic opportunities or whatever out here that's on weekends and not during the day, or if they are, during the weekend, they're a little bit earlier, like, hell, I don't know, like 6, 7 o'clock, let me know. But the 9, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock shit, absolutely not. Another goal I put was strive for 3 meals a day, because I don't be eating 3 meals a day. Improve my credit. get into bartending. Although I'm certified in bartending, I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to fit it into my schedule. And I feel like God hasn't really given me the green light yet to actually like pick that up. And I feel like if I include bartending into my schedule right now, like I would be stepping out of alignment, because I feel like God is telling me to use my extra time for this podcast. But yeah, I still put that as a goal, get into bartending, because I don't want to feel like I just went and got a certification and now I'm not doing shit with it. The next goal I have is release the deluxe version of my album on DSPs. The next one is, so Kyndl Exists, my album, is out everywhere. The album and the deluxe both are out everywhere. At the time of this recording in January, I released the deluxe on all platforms instead of it just being on my Bandcamp. But I ended up switching from DistroKid to United Masters, and this is my first time ever like uploaded something through United Masters, and the quality sounds terrible. And I know it's not because the quality sounded terrible before uploading. I feel like something just like happened. I don't know what happened, but I'm like, I ain't never had this issue. I know what my quality sounds like. Distro ain't never gave me this issue, but now all of a sudden I'm releasing through United and the quality sounds terrible. So at the time of this recording, I am figuring this shit out, but hopefully by the time you guys hear this, both my album and the deluxe will be out on everything, along with some more music, because I do want to drop some more singles this year. Get more / deeper into tarot. Learning tarot is something that I definitely want to learn more of. I put some trips on here. I really want to go to New York this year to get content. What else? I'm not going to say this next one, but I picked up another skill that I want to like improve on this year. I don't know if I'm going to do it though. I put a star by it because I'm like, that's not what I feel like God is really calling me to focus on, but I wrote it down. The next one was to get more tattoos, because I'm not as tatted as I want to be, and to find a therapist / get into therapy. And I've been calling around to therapists, but at the time of this recording, I do not have a therapist yet. But I do feel like, as in tune as I am with God and as much work as I've been doing on myself and how self-aware I am, I'm like, I don't want to be ignorant and say I don't think I need a therapist, but I'm like, I'm still trying to figure out what my goals would be with a therapist. It's like, I know that I'm not going to be able to like heal everything that I know I need to heal overnight, but like subconsciously, like that's my goal. It's like, I don't want to have no blind spots. Like, I want a motherfucker to give me a list of like, boom, this is what the fuck you still need to work on. This is what you're not seeing. This is what you're not doing. And I can be like, all right, but like, I'm damn near addicted to like working on self. Like, it's not even funny. And it's low-key kind of like unhealthy. And I know I need to give myself more grace. And I know that healing is a never-ending journey. But yeah, I'm like, I don't really know what my goals would be with the therapist. I feel like I already self-soothe in a pretty good way. I'm pretty self-aware. Like, if I was to sit down with a therapist and then the therapist tell me like, oh, you need to work on like, I feel like a therapist pretty much will be telling me things that I already know, you know? So yeah, but healing is important to me. And like I said, I know that I'm not perfect and I know that I still have blind spots. I'm like, I definitely need a therapist, but for the most part, you know, with, you know, the self-soothing that I do, I'm pretty all right now. But, yeah, this episode was longer than I wanted it to be. I don't want any of these episodes to be longer than an hour. If it needs to be longer than an hour, it's just going to be longer than an hour. But if I can be completely honest before I get off this mic, I just feel like even though I literally had these notes in front of me, like I feel like this episode was all over the place. Oh my God. And I'm like, fuck. Like, I feel like the first time I recorded this episode, it was so good. And now, like, I'm recording it a second time and I'm just like, fuck. But I hope you guys were able to gain something from this episode. This is kind of like a part 3 to the past 2 episodes because I gave you guys an intro to the episode. To the podcast. I gave you guys an intro, to myself. Like, I introduced myself more. And I feel like this was kind of just like the follow-up. Me just telling you guys like what my past year was and where I am this year. And yeah, I hope you guys continue to grow with me and follow this pod. And I'm grateful for, those who are tuning in, no matter when you're tuning in. And I'm grateful to God for giving me this platform and allowing me to use my voice more and pushing me to use my voice more, because this shit is nerve-wracking as hell. But I know that this is something that I really wanted to do. I just know that me starting a podcast is more than me just cutting on a mic and just talking. Like, I actually have to have structure and, be mindful of the fact that the content that I'm putting out will be consumed by other people. So I feel like that's why I'm kind of just like in my head, like, still being perceived. But yeah, this is episode 3. I hope you guys learned a little bit more about me, and I hope you guys were able to gain or take away something from this episode for yourself, instead of just, hearing me talk about my year and where I am. But yeah, that is all I have. Definitely tune into episode 4 because I recorded episode 4 before recording this take of this episode, and I feel like episode 4 was kind of all over the place too, but I feel like you guys will definitely gain something from episode 4. And like I said, I hope by, episode 10, you feel me, I'll be a lot more comfortable. The visuals and the audio and everything would just be, a little bit more tighter. So again, thank you guys for following the journey. If you are, thank you for tuning in. And again, follow the pod. I need to get off the mic. Follow the pod at Keys Exceeds Pod. I'm out. Gratitude.